Welcome everyone. Thanks for being here. I'm Shelby. I'm in Portland, Oregon. We've got Jahrine with us today in Vancouver, BC. And we have you guys from all over the world. So if you haven't already, go ahead and introduce yourself in the chat. And feel free to talk in the chat throughout the course of today's Zoom call. So if you have questions, the chat is a great place to put them if you did not get to submit them in advance. So I also do have questions that you guys emailed to me that I'm going to ask Jahrine today, and she'll be able to answer those for you guys. And if we don't have time to get to all of them, then I will respond to your emails. We can post the answers to these questions on the forum as well. And I'm just going to give you guys the link to that again in the chat. So I created a thread, a form on the link page for all of us. So if you haven't, go ahead and add yourself in there. And make sure that you guys have all joined a challenge too, if you haven't. That's part of the purpose of these calls that we're doing every week. We want you guys to have support while you're doing your 90-day challenge. And so since we're getting into it, make sure that your microphone is muted while Jahrine is doing her presenting. And I'm still going to be admitting people in over the course of the, until we reach 100 people. So I might go over some of these reminders a couple more times. So great, we got a lot of questions. I wanted to give a shout out to Will Sutherland in case he's here. He gave us some great feedback and some questions. So Jahrine, before you get to your presentation, I actually wanted to prompt you with this question since I find it extremely relevant, which is for the 90-day challenges, I wish there was more of an understanding of the relationship between coins, known words, and links, and then the actual ranking itself in the... Okay. Make sure that you guys have your microphone muted, and if you have a question, please just put it in the chat, and I'll be monitoring that.
Yes, yes, I have some question. Actually, I'm not so good in English. Please speak slowly. Actually, I can answer your specific word.
Okay, I can. Yeah, we can speak slowly.
We'll do that.
Thank you so much.
No worries. So that is a great question about the how progress is measured in the challenge. So in the 90-day French challenge, if maybe I won't share my screen just yet, but just reading from the 90-day French challenge page, which is the challenge that I'm starting or have started in September. Yeah, you just need to meet your coins target to complete the challenge. So anyone who's used LingQ knows that when you create a link, a phrase or a word, you are awarded coins within the lesson. And we try to simplify. There are other things going on, as is it Andrew mentioned. There is the activity score and, you know, a big breakdown of statistics. But to simplify things in the 90-day challenge, you just need to get your listening in on LingQ, get your reading in, make links, make as many links as you can. And when I present, when I share my screen, I'll show you how to make it easier for you to actually meet those targets as well. The things that I find make it easier to meet those targets within the settings of your reader. So yeah, it's just content, spending time and linking, creating those links basically. So just think of it like that. No need to get too complicated in terms of activity score as well, because yeah, coins will help. Creating links and working through content will help build your activity score. So just focus on that.
Great, thanks Jahrine. And Jahrine, what language are you learning?
So I am currently learning French. I started at the beginning of the year trying to, I call it my year of French. So I'm having a really intense French focused year and seeing basically what I can do. And if I can come at the end of it in December, able to and then this is a tricky thing to define. Speak to someone in French now. I mean, a casual conversation, not anything too in-depth, but I've never gotten to the point where I can actually speak with someone in a second language. My first language is English. I know some Japanese, but I was never really a confident Japanese speaker. So yeah, intense French year for me.
Great. Awesome. Well, if you're ready to, I would love for you to share your screen with us and show whatever you want to. We had, I know, Steve and Eric in previous weeks showing their statistics and talking about their goals in that regard. If you want to take it a different direction, go for it. Because as you know, with Link, you can really customize your journey. So tell us a little bit about your goals for the challenge.
Sure, will do. So let me just share my screen. Are you able to see
Yep.
it? Perfect. Okay. So why don't I just, first of all, show you. So I'm in the library, and you can see I went really hard at the beginning of the year. I had a 200-day streak. Everything was great. My apple was sparkly and silver. As you can see right now, it isn't looking too great. But for me, that is what this September starting challenge is all about. It's actually picking up from where I slumped a bit in the summer and was spending more time outside and not so much time language learning. I want to pick it back up for the fall because I'll be spending a lot of time inside. It's really wet in Vancouver. So yeah, you can see here, 2-day streak. And I'm part of the 90-day challenge. I'm also part of the Streak with Steve challenge. The 90-day challenge, for those of you who don't know, at the beginning of every month you can start a new one. I started this one in September. So we're now halfway through September. If you want to start a challenge, you can by all means start the September one, but you will have a bit of catching up to do. If you want a super duper challenge, then go ahead. But you can always start the beginning of October, that works too. The Streak with Steve challenge, anytime, join and see how many days you can build a streak for. So you're just meeting your daily links goals every day. And as you can see, I just have the 2-day streak, that's fine. So for me, I use Link primarily for three things. I watch TV shows and movies in French, mainly through Netflix. I listen to some podcasts, and I also read the news. So I'm not so big into the YouTube videos. I do sometimes check out some of the lessons that come up in the library. So here, for example, you can see what people have been using, and sometimes things pop up, looks interesting, great. I might read a short story, or there's some shorter novels too that I've read. But for me, mainly it's, as you can see by my lessons here, it is Netflix shows and podcasts and news. So what I like to do is, when it comes to finding a new show on Netflix, I've watched a lot of kind of darker series and sci-fi. So I'm starting to look at the lighter side of things now. So I've just started a very secret service. I don't know if anyone is studying French and has watched it, but everyone keeps telling me that it's an excellent show. So if I just open up, and I've just started the first lesson here to show you how I kind of work through. So my process is, I grab the show on Netflix using the browser extension. So I'll show you guys how to do that. So this is a new show that I'm also liking. So you open it up. It's here. Make sure, of course, that everything is set to French. So the audio is French and the subtitles are French. And then it's as easy as clicking on the extension, make sure that French is set. And if you guys studying multiple languages. You can import to quick imports, or you can create a new course with the name of the show. I should already have this, yeah. And import, and it's as easy as that. So what I like to do is import the lesson and work my way through it before watching. When I first started doing this, it was a little strange, especially because you don't have any screen directions. So sometimes, you're not sure who's speaking or what's happening, really. So it's a little strange, but it's amazing when you actually get to the show and you watch it and you have that fresh in your mind. I was blown away when I first started doing this. As you can see here, I have almost 7,000 known words in French. When I first started doing this, I had 2 or 3, and I was watching a show called Zone Blanche, which is episodes are an hour long. It's a kind of mystery show. It was tough, don't get me wrong. Getting through the lesson on Link like this was very difficult. But then when I got to the show, I was able to actually enjoy it. I was amazed. And there were some parts where, for sure, and still to this day, when I watch the Netflix shows, there are parts I get lost, but I just skip it. If it's really, really a mess, I'll stop and try and figure out what's going on. I'll go back to it after, but usually if I can understand the gist, then it's good. So if any of you are at a stage where you think you might want to try watching a TV show or a movie in your target language, but you're thinking it's just going to be too tough, it's going to be frustrating, I'll stop. Just try it, honestly. You'll be amazed. And you'll be amazed at how much vocabulary you can pick up, and how much natural speech too. I find it really useful for natural speech as well. So yeah, as you can see, blue words, I am working through, and depending on how long the lesson, the show is, it can take a while for sure, but like I said, it's worth it in the end. And then you have so many links. You're perfectly a-okay reaching your daily links goal. And I just want to talk about the daily links goal, actually, because this is something that I'm not sure a lot of people do. So as you can see here, mine is set to 50. If I take you guys into the settings, it's a little hidden. So the little cog right here, if you click on it, you can really switch things up and make your lessons and make Link work better for you. So in the home settings, if you click on daily goal, you can see casual, steady, intense, and driven. If you are fine with just doing the 13 links a day, building up that streak, perfect, but you can really challenge yourself by increasing that number. And I find it really kind of lights a fire in you, for me anyway. Yeah, get into the reader settings, I would say, the general settings, and change up anything. Review as well, the different activities that you want to do. Just making Link work better for you, I find, when you first start is a really good idea. So back into my lessons. So yeah, as you can see, podcast is probably the second most used piece of content for me. In French is amazing. If anyone's learning French and hasn't discovered Hugo's in a French podcast, you need to, because he speaks a little slower than your average French podcaster YouTuber. So it's great, and the actual content itself is really interesting. It presents it in a really engaging way. So check that out for sure. This is a mix of what is already in the Link library. So this is in the Link library already, and French is already there. I'm still at a stage where I'm not even importing podcasts because there are so many options in the Link library. So yeah, just take a look around, depending on your language, of course, there'll be more for some languages, but there's just a huge amount of content there. And then, of course, for news, go back to, sure. So for news, there are constant suggestions and recent suggestions, which is great in the library, from popular news channels. You can always as well, we're always adding them. So if you're, for your language, there are just a couple and you find a great one that you think, you know, other LingQ users would benefit from being able to just quickly import from the library, then please suggest to us, please email us and we'll see if we can add it. But for French, there are definitely lots of options. Le Monde, Le Figaro, yeah. So Le Devoir, that's for Canada. So yeah, those three types of content I'm finding make me feel almost like I'm not studying. I try to fit them into my daily life. I read the news anyway, so I do a little reading of the news in French. I watch a lot of TV, so I try to watch some TV in French. And then with the podcasts too, you know, if I'm out around the house, I guess not really out and about these days much, but I try to have it on in the background too, to review. So yeah, that is how I use Link. That's how it's working for me so far, and that's how I've managed. I'm amazed, honestly, that I've managed to keep this up for a year. So, because daily practice for me drops off, and then I'm like, but I have been really consistent this year thanks to being able to find content that I really enjoy like this. So, especially with the TV shows and movies. So, yeah, it's been great.
Awesome. Thank you, Jahrine. So a lot you can do with Link, guys. If you haven't used the import extension before, we highly, highly recommend it. And as you can see, depending on what language you're learning, there is a lot of content available for you to import from the news feed or to just enjoy directly in the library. So find what works best for you. And now we want to give you guys the opportunity to go into breakout rooms so that you can chat with each other for about 15 to 20 minutes. So I have these rooms set up. You're gonna just click a button to get taken into some separate rooms. And what we want you to talk about is, you know, your goals. So what's the language you're learning? What goals do you have over the course of this challenge? How are you doing? Do you think that you're gonna reach that goal, or are you having obstacles? And what are your obstacles? This is a chance for you to meet people from other parts of the world who might be able to give you some advice. So when you share your obstacles, be open to advice and feedback. And if you have any advice to offer each other, please do. So again, the questions are, what language are you learning? What's your goal with the challenge? And I'm just typing this in the chat for you guys. What obstacles do you have? And any advice you have. So I'm gonna send you guys to the rooms to chat about this for 15, 20 minutes, and I'll give you a warning before it's time to come back, and then we'll get to ask more questions when we come back to the main room. So make sure you stick around with us for the rest of the hour if you can. Welcome back, everybody. I hope you had a great discussion in your breakout rooms. Please put a message in the chat and type a sentence or a paragraph about what you discussed. And if anybody had a brilliant insight in your breakout room, please share it in the chat. If there was anyone that you spoke to who had great advice that you think is worth sharing, then please let us know in the chat, and maybe we can call on somebody to share with the group. So I'll let you guys do that, and I'm just gonna take a look at the questions we had submitted, and we will start asking those to Jahrine here. So let's see here. Guts Lenhart sent us a question in advance. I'd like to see how others find content with around 20% unknown words inside Link and anywhere on the web. a maximum of 30% unknown words. I have some strategies, but perhaps there are better ways. So, Jahrine, I know you showed a lot about, how to find great content in French on LingQ. Have any advice for how to find content with 20 to 30% unknown words, or?
I think in terms of on LingQ, definitely having your level set to, and I can maybe share my screen. So that. Oops. Do you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Great. So you can see here the level settings of from beginner 1 all the way to advanced 2. Now, to get 20 to 30, I mean, depending on your level, of course. So I just hit what we call intermediate 1 with the known words that I have on LingQ to give you a point of reference. So just play around with it in terms of finding content on LingQ. So, if I go from beginner 2 to maybe advanced 1 and apply, I'm getting 11, 19%, 20%, 19%, 27%. So that seems pretty bang on for my level. In terms of, and I think the question mentioned finding it outside, that content outside of LingQ. So if for example, I know that I'm a kind of a low intermediate learner. There's so many resources out there. I have some up here. So for example, the French subreddit on Reddit is a great resource. You could check for the content that people have posted for intermediate learners there. YouTube channels, podcasts, like everything you can think of. The thing is, you wouldn't even, people find things you just wouldn't find yourself. I feel like on Reddit, you come across all kinds of things. And so that's a good resource, definitely. There's also the forum on LingQ. I find a really helpful resource for finding content. I don't know if you guys have ever used it, but we have all kinds of forums, language specific, so you can find your target language. Ask Steve is also a good one if you want. It's a popular one. Yeah, find the forum for your language and ask, because these are people who mostly use LingQ as well, so they will be able to point you in the right direction in terms of content there. So, yeah.
Thank you. And I love to practice with songs. So depending on the difficulty of the song, there might be 20 to 30% unknown words, or there might be 80%. So it's okay to challenge yourself, and it's okay to not understand everything. That's part of the lots of great questions. So I'm just going to keep them coming. Jahrine, I don't think you study Italian, but I think we can still use this question. Sakshi Gautam asked, how to improve Italian and clear our concepts. I think we can take that question as, general language learning, how to keep improving and how to just make sure that you're hitting some sort of daily progress.
Great.
Hello?
So I think, hello. So I think definitely, and I mentioned this before, it's all about finding something you love to do, no matter what language that you're studying. I found that definitely has made all the difference for me this year. I've dabbled in French before, but in January, I made an effort to just do things that I like. And if I start to get annoyed or frustrated with the content I'm using, I just get rid of it. I'm trying not to focus too much on, I must learn French. I must get this down. I must nail the grammar. I'm just enjoying content in French. And it works. It's working for me. And I'm sure I'll come to a point where I actually need to do some rote memorization or, focus in a different way if I want to be speaking in the way that I do. But right now it's all about finding things that I enjoy and I would watch or read or listen to in English, but just doing it in French or Italian. Yeah, do what you love.
Yeah, absolutely. Once I started just practicing with content that I'm interested in, language learning got so much more fun for me. So keep exploring, keep experimenting. You don't have to go through the mini stories. Like, they're great, and I went through 30 of them, and I'm gonna keep going. But it wasn't interesting enough to keep me really excited of these. So
yeah, I had the same experience, with the mini stories for sure. I listened to some maybe 10 times, and I was like, you know what? It's time to move on to things that I like. So yeah, there's no one system or process that fits all. You just have to kind of go with what suits you.
We have some more great questions coming in. Last night, Anthony Vilches Bernoy from Peru sent me a message. I'll just translate this from Spanish since this call is all in English. So Anthony said, when I use LingQ to read articles and books in English, every time I'm reading, I'm translating in my head. And he asked, is this normal?
I hope so, because I do it too. I think so. I've heard from Steve and other people who have actually learned multiple languages or taken a language all the way to fluency, that stops, changes. I mean, Shelby, you speak advanced Spanish. Did that change for you? Did you do it at the beginning and then kind of not?
Yeah, I think that that's part of the journey. So you start doing it that way, and I think that's normal. And the goal is to eventually not do that, because it slows you down and it's not a natural way to process language. So, but that comes at like advanced, or maybe like higher level intermediate to advanced, because suddenly the words start to have meaning rather than having to be translated. You know, like you start to understand what the words mean in that language. You actually have to think in your target language to achieve fluency. You can absolutely be competent, you can be strong intermediate, and still be translating inside your head. And that's okay. You know, but the goal is to eventually break through and just understand the language in its core essence. But that takes time. You know, it takes a lot of exposure to the language to get there. And that's why it's a great idea to be watching TV shows, listening to podcasts, and if you can, talk to native speakers too, because it's all part of that process of, you know, comprehensible input. Like, you have to have a lot of exposure to it, and eventually it just starts to make sense.
Magic. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm definitely still doing the translation in my head, which I'm a beginner in. And I was gonna say something else about that, but it evaded me. So we have another great question from Nicholas Pohl. I think he had to leave, but he said, I'm currently learning Russian. I'm slow at making advances. And it's basically because the different pronunciations of the letters, like it's a different alphabet than English. So he's basically having a hard time with understanding. So we've kind of talked about this a little bit today. Jahrine, do you have anything new to add when it comes to difficulty understanding your target language?
I mean, when I lived in Japan for a little bit and can read Japanese, not all the kanji, but the katakana, hiragana, and I get that it's a whole other thing. I mean, I'm learning French and it's easy for me to read, but learning something like Russian, Japanese, Chinese just adds a whole other element of difficulty. And again, I think the best advice I can give is just keep going at it and finding content that you love. And I think look at it as if you're trying to unlock the content. So if you find something that you are interested in, you know, a podcast on an interesting topic, you actually really want to find out about the topic. And so you'll work through the difficulties in understanding to get at it as the best. Not learning or speaking Russian myself is the best advice I can give. And it's very general, but it really does. I mean, I should just say it all day. I say it to myself too. Just find something that you want to work through to get to the information, to understand it and enjoy it. And then it just so happens that you're also getting through it in Russian or Japanese or French. So yeah, and you are making progress. I feel like I need to highlight. So a lot of people, you know, you go through, it's like a roller coaster of emotions learning a language. And when you're at your lowest, you feel like, what am I doing? This is stupid. I'm never going to be able to speak this language. It's too difficult. I'm not progressing. Remember that you are. You always, always are. Every little thing you do, even if it's so small, 5 minutes of listening, that's progress. So keep on going.
Exactly. Thanks, Jahrine. So yeah, keep going, guys. Keep exposing yourself. We have more questions, so I'll have to respond to those via email later. We had Obina, who asked.
Yeah, Obina.
Obina, hi. So I'll give you about a minute to share some advice using YouTube.
Okay, great. So the way I use YouTube to learn other target languages is I use the same email to create different YouTube accounts. So for that account, I would use it to specifically watch videos and type in to search for more videos in that target language. So for example, Japanese. I would make an account using the same email, put a Japanese logo or label to remember, oh, this is my Japanese account. I go in there, I would type. Sometimes I use Google Translate and copy and paste to look for videos that I want to watch, say cooking, cleaning, or whatever, documentary or whatever, just to have content and have the algorithm be in Japanese. Because along with the a separate account, I would change the language to the target language and the location to where the target language is spoken. So Japanese and then Japan, Nihon. And then I would keep doing that for like at least a day. And then bam, the algorithm is set. So you just keep on searching for Japanese videos. And that will help not have any other videos in your own native language come and distract you, you know? And if it does, you can just delete it from your history and then the algorithm is set back. So this is how I do it for like Spanish and Japanese to help me find content and study those languages or view content in that target language, you know. And I don't know if you can use import. Yeah, I don't know if you can use imports to like, because if you find something on YouTube, you can use import on YouTube and put it on link, right? Or no? Oh, great. Yeah, so that helps even more if Netflix is limited.
Yeah.
Perfect. That is a great idea. I like that. I should do that for French. Thank you.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
So much.
Yeah, thanks.
You guys. This has been, you guys have asked so many great questions. You've given fantastic advice too. I hope that this has been useful for you guys. We're going to keep doing this once a week for the duration of the 90-day challenge. So, you know, keep sending in questions. I'm going to put some links in the chat now, guys. First, just as a reminder, make sure that you've actually signed up for a challenge if you haven't. That's what this is all about. Chris, the 90-day challenge technically already started, but it's not too late. You can join today. So I just put the link in the chat so that everyone can join if you haven't already. And we also have a forum here. So if you guys have more questions or if you want to keep interacting with each other, go ahead and comment all over the thread. We'd love to see you guys continuing to interact with one another because you guys have a lot of great advice to share with each other. And last but not least, just to go over the daily goal, make sure you have your daily goal set to something that's going to challenge you, but don't make it so overwhelming that you don't do anything. So this is a challenge, so make sure to keep pushing yourself. It shouldn't be too comfortable. And last but not least, if you guys have specific feedback or more questions, I put my email in the chat as well. So you can send me an email if you have additional questions that you want us to go over next week, or just general advice or assistance that you need with Link. Jahrine, do you have anything else to add before we say goodbye for the day?
Just thank you all for joining us, and good luck, and let's make a breakthrough at the end of the year. Let's show 2020 who's boss.
Yeah. Let's do something awesome in 2020.
We need it. We need it.
It's been a tough year, but certainly language learning is something that we can do while we're inside, and we have a support system here at Link, because it can be a difficult journey to fluency. But you guys are doing great. We're really, really pleased. So thanks again, guys. And we'll see you next week if you want to join us again.